I want you to imagine this. Masses of children flock to the streets packed onto 10 blocks between Pennsylvania Avenue and the White House. Millions of students leaving their desks empty because instead today they are standing outside marching and chanting with signs in their hands. Today, teenagers are taking America where adults won't go. Hello, my name is Tasmia Rahman, and this year my project focused on the power of youth activism. On December 14th, 2012, a gunman walked into Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut, and killed 20 children, 6 adults, and himself. After this, we said never again. But then we let 2,356 mass shootings happen since. Out of these 2,356 mass shootings, 2,664 individuals in schools have been killed, and 9,840 have become wounded. To put things into perspective, here is a graph showing where the US lies regarding gun deaths in comparison to other developed countries. As of 2020, the US is the biggest outlier for gun violence among developed countries. But the US is not the only country with mental illness, domestic violence, or hate-fueled ideologies. But our gun homicide rate is 25 times higher than other high-income countries. A mass shooting is defined as any incident in which 4 or more people are shot and killed. So far in 2020, in which we have only been in for about 4 months, 96 people have been killed and 348 wounded in 87 mass shootings. Within mass shootings in general, 1 in 4 mass shooting victims are children and teens. This really shows how much of a problem this is within our generation and what the reality for a student is in America. On February 14th, 2017, a gunman walked into Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School and injured 17 people and killed 17 others. In the days after this tragedy, my generation decided that enough was enough. We decided that our country could not allow one more person to experience the pain of losing a loved one. We cannot allow another person to wait for a call or a text that will never come. We cannot allow for the normalization of gun violence to continue. We need a safe and loving nation for all of us. After Parkland, which sparked this March for Our Lives movement, it really galvanized the youth to take action and demand change. March for Our Lives was the largest march on gun violence in history. However, the fight doesn't stop there. Although people tend to get desensitized from school shootings because they happen so frequently, a need for change still needs to come, and it's up to our generation to do something about it. During my capstone, I spoke and worked with an organization called Montgomery County Students for Change, which is a youth organization that mobilizes the students of Montgomery County to solve the most pressing issues of our time, and I created Bullis to become a branch of it. I also cooperated with the office of Jamie Raskin, my local congressman, regarding what steps my county is doing about gun violence and what steps are prohibiting any action yet to be taken. I also interviewed a Parkland survivor and major youth activist that spoke to Donald Trump regarding gun control laws and legislation that needs to be passed within Congress. Within the Bullis community, I interviewed Mr. Berger and the protocols Bullis has if there is an active shooter on campus and spoke to him regarding the realization and transition that these kind of precautions were needed at Bullis. All of my interviews that I conducted this year had a common thread. The youth need to go out and vote. It is so important to vote and be a part of an election in order to have your voice heard. This is why I held a voter registration on campus. We had over 50 new voters of all ages become registered during this 2-day event.
Absolutely.
Yes, 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the youth generation 100% has the power to create change. And
I definitely think so.
We're already so outspoken and extremely motivated to fight for what we believe in.
going to be the adults who are coming of age, and so, you know, the middle-aged people are the ones that run the world, basically, because they're in the workforce, and that will be us soon, so, yeah.
Especially as a generation, you know, we progress and we often come full circle about things that maybe once have been taboo or not as common or we didn't know about. But I definitely think we're growing and we're advancing, and so as every generation passes, we know more and more about the world, and it's our duty to use that information and change where we see fit.
We are the future of the world, and so what happens in the upcoming years is really up to us, and we have the power to influence people whether they believe in our beliefs or not.
In conclusion, to quote David Hogg, when politicians send their thoughts and prayers with no actions, we say, no more. And to those politicians supported by the NRA that allowed the continued slaughter of our children and our future, I say, get your resumes ready. The youth generation might be condemned by others for our spirit, focus, and dedication, but we are on the road to change, and there is nothing that is going to stop us. Thank you.